Okay, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds per move game, and we have the Sicilian defense, and this is all theory. D4, he takes with a knight usually, then knight f6, knight c3, and here we play the dragon variation this time. You can play a lot of other systems like knight c6, a6, e6. There are a lot of options for black, and the dragon is a very dynamic way of playing. Sometimes white castles long and tries to attack us here very quickly on the king side with h4, h5, opening up the h file. But now he castles short, so this option is not there anymore. So we now will try to fight for the square b5. So a6, maybe b5, and the bishop would be maybe good here on this diagonal. And I'm not afraid if he takes here. I think he wants to play queen d2 and maybe later bishop h6. Let's play b5 if he allows us to do so. a4 would be an option to avoid this. We have a weakness here on d5. It's always a bit tricky for us to play e6. I mean, it would protect d5, but the pawn on d6 would be very weak afterwards. So our goal should be to play then d5 later on ourselves. But I mean, if you look at the position, white already developed all his pieces, and I'm a little bit behind in development. But here he just gives us the bishop pair, so I think this was not a good move. This bishop might get very strong on this diagonal now, and I mean, if he plays something like knight d5, I can retreat simply, and yeah, this is a horrible move. Why? I mean, just look at the position, what happened. Yeah, very easy. I can just take the knight here on d4, and so game is over. So I mean, let's see if he resigns. The strategy now would be just to exchange pieces, and in the end I'm a piece up, and I can just try to promote a pawn in the end game. Okay, I will demonstrate this now. Hopefully he offers a draw. I mean, what can you do? So I mean, this is a bit unfair, you know. If you
draw offered
second time, you shouldn't do something like this, in my opinion. Okay, sometimes players just wait now if they are in a lost position and just let their time run up. Maybe this is what someone who does this, but here just look at the position and you can find another tactical trick. It's a very, yeah, it's quite a very easy one, but you can win a piece, and the idea is to look at pieces on the white side that are not protected, and maybe you can, you know, make a double attack, and white has a problem that he can't protect both pieces at the same time. So I hope you found it, and here we go. So knight e5, and the problem is that the queen needs to move because it's attacked, but it's not possible to protect the bishop on c4 at the same time. So wherever the queen moves, afterwards I just take here on c4. The only move that would protect the bishop is queen d3, but then I would take the queen certainly. Now he asks for a board, and yeah, I don't comment on this. 13 seconds left, and the game is won. Alright.
White forfeits on time.
So this was a very quick game, and I think around here everything is theory, yeah? Maybe even like bishop g5 and a6, but now white already goes wrong because he doesn't develop. He exchanges a good bishop here on g5 without any necessity. I mean, he doesn't need to do it, and the bishop is a good piece. And maybe it was much better to play queen d2 and then playing threatening something like bishop h6 to get rid of this strong bishop. And you could also see that this bishop was a strong piece. It later on it attacked the knight d4 and it grabbed and won the knight as well. And as a beginner, you always need to look at the position and ask yourself what kind of pieces are not protected. It's very simple. So look at the position, and if you look at the black side, all pieces are protected despite the rook on a8. This is not protected, but the rook is protected here by the king, the bishop is protected by the pawn, the queen is protected by the rook, this bishop is protected by the queen, the knight is protected by the rook. Everything is protected from the pieces. We don't talk about pawns, but the pawns are also all protected here on my side, yeah? So the only piece not protected is the rook, but white is not able to attack it very quickly. I just need to take care a bit about something like a b5 and then bishop d5, then it's threatening to take here, or something like queen f3, sacrificing the pawn, yeah? Just imagine I would play something like b5, he retreats, I don't know, I play or maybe he doesn't even retreat, you know, he plays b5, and I play b5, he plays queen f3, and I take here. He could also play e5, threatening to take here and afterwards taking on a8, but the whole combination would not work because this knight is hanging just like in the game. But you need to take care about this. So this is a potential problem in my position, the rook on a8. And if you look at the position of white, everything is fine from the pieces, they are all protected, but not the bishop on c4. So this is a potential problem. So I can play maybe even queen c7 later and taking the bishop, and yeah, by playing queen f3 the knight is not protected anymore. So whenever you move a piece, it's very important that you don't just lose a piece by not protecting one of your pieces again, yeah. And yeah, and in this position again, look at all the pieces. Here you have this piece still that is not protected, but you can also say that the rook on d1 is not protected very well, because it's just protected by the knight here on c3. But it wouldn't be a problem for me to just exchange the knight. If I exchange the knight now, white needs to take back more or less, either with the queen or the pawn, and then afterwards the rook on d1 is not protected anymore. So it's tricky here to move the rook to e2. And yeah, just remember this. If you start to play, take care of your pieces, try to find out what kind of pieces are not protected, protect them, and try to find out what pieces of your opponent are not protected. Maybe you can win a piece like we did here with attacking the queen and the bishop at the same time. And then if you get better, this is something that goes automatically, and then some mistakes like this, what happened to white, doesn't happen that often anymore.